Are you all familiar with this popular social media influence Hijabi? Her name is Aya's Voice. She goes by Aya's Voice on social media. She amassed a great following within the last year because she really started to speak up more like on some women's rights, equality in Islam, and she doesn't feel like the Dawa bros are doing any justice to Islam, and they treat women like crap. And she really started this whole women's rights movement in Islam. So recently she made a post on X. She's been getting doxxed and she's been getting harassed, and she's really been on the end of some brutal hostility from the Islamic community. So she is really starting to doubt Islam.
Do you know what? I'm having one of those days where I am really struggling to hold on to Islam. And the reason I'm going to share this is because this is who I make content for. I make content for the girls who are struggling to hold on to Islam, who feel pushed away from Islam by these misogynistic men and women who make the religion so hard for women, who want to push out anyone that thinks differently to them, that wants to weaponize the religion to harm us, to silence us, to stop us from speaking about our experiences. This is who I make content for.
One thing I noticed about how she really perceived this whole thing is that this is not Islamic. This is not what Islam teaches. That they are basically trying to reform Islam and trying to move it to more of a patriarchy. And she doesn't agree with that. She thinks that Islam gives women's rights, and she believes that these Dawa bros is really breeding a hostile community towards women. But she must haven't really read her Quran, have she? We can start by just reading the Quran. Literally, if we go to 434, we know that it is giving men permission to actually strike their wives. Some translation says beat, some says scourge. They use very aggressive and abusive language in the ayah 434. I'm gonna read it for you. It says, men are the caretakers of women, as men has been provisioned by Allah over women and tasked with supporting them financially. And righteous women are devoutly obedient and when alone protective of what Allah has entrusted with them. And if you sense ill conduct from your women, advise them. If they persist, do not share their beds. But if they still persist, then discipline them. Well, it says discipline them gently, and that's in the parentheses, but it literally says you can strike them. In the Arabic, it says strike them. So this is very hostile towards women. This is very misogynistic, if you will. If the man take care of you, then you are basically his property, and he can do what he wills. We know that infamous verse of 65:4 is telling men that they can marry, consummate, participate in sexual acts with a minor. As for your young women past the age of menstruation, in case you do not know, their waiting period is 3 months, and those who have not menstruated as well. As for those who are pregnant, their waiting period ends with delivery. And whoever is mindful of Allah, He will make their matters easy for them. Now, the problem is the second clause, the second set of women, the ones that have not yet menstruated as well. And if you look at every Islamic scholar, every exegete of this passage is talking about the ones that haven't reached the age of menstruation because of their young age. This is heavily misogynistic. It's heavily oppressive. It is bad. Is morally corrupt. Ayah, you must not know your Quran to be a Quran only, because this is what it says. And we have a less known verse. It's Surah Al-Baqarah 2, verse 23. It says, your wives are like farmland, so approach them as you please. Your wives are like farmland, so approach them as you please. That means that they're there just to plow. basically. They're there to have babies. They're there for you to use their bodies physically. And they belong to you. You own a plot of land, you own your wife, you plow your plot of land, you can plow your wife however you please. Sounds very, very misogynistic to me. Surah Al-Azab 33, Ayah 50, and it goes down a list of, women that Muhammad can have for himself. And the daughters thine uncle on the mother's side, and the daughters of thine aunts on the mother's side, who immigrated with thee and believe in women, if she gives herself unto the prophet, and the prophet desire to ask her in marriage, a privilege for thee only, not for the rest of the believers. So we see Muhammad can have as many wives as he will, as he choose fit. This is very, very misogynistic. That he can have as many wives as he please. Tell me that's not catering to the patriarchy. Tell me that's not catering to Muhammad's needs. And women, just regular believers, men can have up to four wives. If you just want one man and one wife, then you can come to Christianity. Christianity, you can have that, where it's a monogamous relationship. You won't have this polygamy. This is what your Quran teaches. Not all women agrees with Ayah. There's actually some women that's fighting back. That's calling her a hypocrite. That's calling her misogynistic. Can you believe it?
So it sounds as if any abuse you may have received was pretty self-inflicted.
Ayah is a misogynist. And nobody believes me when I say this, but this time she let her color show a little too clearly for me to let this slide. Look at the post she wrote about misogyny. Look at this. She writes, "Misogyny should make you cry. I despise any woman upholding the patriarchy instead of fighting against it with other women." I'm sorry? You despise who? And for what reason? What exactly is misogyny? Misogyny is the hatred of, contempt for, or prejudice against women, especially when it manifests as hostility, shaming, or punishment towards women who fail to conform to a prescribed set of beliefs, roles, or behaviors. Notice how Ayah words this. She doesn't say, "I despise anyone who supports oppression." No. She says, "I despise any woman who conforms to the patriarchy." Why? Because Ayah thinks that every woman is expected to think a certain way. That's already a sexist assumption. You're saying her sex comes with a political obligation. You're not treating women as individuals anymore. You're treating them as representatives of their gender.
Listen, I'm genuinely baffled by these people who are coming online and saying that the Muslim Ummah and the community online is just so harsh, and look what they've done to Sister Ayah and to Khadija. They've made them so upset, etc. But it's like, have you guys been listening to the stuff that they've been saying? Okay, I'm not so well versed with what Khadija's been saying, but I for sure know that Ayah's voice was not somebody who cared about anyone else's feelings, and now you expect everyone to care about your feelings. Like, I was a victim to her rubbish, and what did she say to me? Oh, the thing that you were calling bullying, no, that's just a consequence. Well, guess what, babe? The thing that you were crying about, that's just a consequence of spewing misinformation about Islam out there. How about that? The thing is with you guys, you want to give it, but you can't take it. And you want to spread misinformation about Islam and then expect that no one should ever correct you because it's just your views. But it's not just your views, because you're misguiding so many other people.
Wow. Now, can you imagine this? That you're trying to speak up for women's equality, women's rights, and you have other women coming at you, basically victim blaming you and saying, well, hey, look, you're spreading misinformation about Islam. This is what you deserve. This is what you get. And the types of threats she's been getting is crazy.
Point. And you know what really triggered me today? This violating feeling of being so fucking dehumanized. I have been so dehumanized by the Muslim community. They have stripped me of my humanity so that they can feel justified to do absolutely anything to me. The Muslim community since September, less than a year, they have done the most horrendous things to me. They have slandered me, they have bullied me, they have doxed me, they have broken into my home, they have made me feel unsafe, they have told me to unalive myself, they have prayed and prayed that I get unalived, that I get raped, that my child gets harmed, that my child gets taken off me.
Now we got the Orthodox Muslim himself. That's, let's just say, have his own problems with women. He gives his opinion on the harassment and the violence and the hatred that is spewed towards Aya.
They have doxed me.
I don't condone any doxing. If she was doxed, then I definitely don't condone that.
They have broken into my fucking home. They have made...
She said people broke into her home. If it happened, then I do not approve of that. That's very violent behavior. That's against the law. Engage with her substance or be quiet and let somebody else do it.
They have told me to unalive myself. They have prayed and prayed that I get unalived, that I get raped, that my child gets harmed, that my child gets taken.
I wish that your child has a long life, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless her, to keep her safe. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide you. We do not condone any violence against you, but we're going to refute you intellectually and academically.
Now let's get it clear. I totally agree with everything Orthodox Muslim says right here. He literally didn't say anything wrong. I wouldn't want a woman to be doxxed. I wouldn't want a woman's kids to be threatened with rape. I wouldn't want a woman's house to be broken. I totally agree. Sounds like a stand-up guy. Until you watch the beginning before, because Muslims kind of clip this out of context.
She comes on TikTok and guess what she does? She does the crocodile tears. She's gaslighting us, guys. She's crying. Oh no, you guys hurt me. You guys are being mean to me. Oh my God, I can't handle it anymore. The Muslim community is so toxic. She's doing the crocodile tears because that's what they do when they get exposed. That's what they do when they feel like the support is leaving them. That's what they do. They start crying. Why? So people can sympathize with them, feel some sympathy. Let's give her a break. She's not that harmful. Look, she's crying on the internet. But no, we're not gonna buy it. When I say we are not gonna buy it, I'm referring to people who have an IQ of at least above room temperature. Because if you're buying this BS, this gaslighting, these crocodile tears, then you must be low IQ. Like some people who have come to defend her after she started crying. But before we get into that, let's actually watch the video where she's crying. She's trying to gaslight everybody. Let's give it a watch.
Do you know what?
So you see, this is like a backhanded, you know how people give you a backhanded compliment? This is kind of like false piety, virtue signaling that he really didn't want nothing. He don't want none of this. But then you go on and mock the lady. You go on and mock her, say, well, she just putting on for the crowd, that she's tearing and she's crying and she's doing all these things. She's wanting sympathy. But if these things really happen, wouldn't you think that she would feel this way? You don't have any compassion for this woman and how she feels, that you start to mock her and then you try to clean it up at the end and like, well, you know, if all of this stuff happened, then I wouldn't want that. Saying that you're going to refute her academically, that's not what you did. You mocked her. You claimed that it was just for show. Come on, man. If this really was happening to this girl, woman, then have some sympathy, bro. Have some sympathy. But of course you don't. Of course you wouldn't. Why would I even expect you to have sympathy? Yeah, this whole ordeal is quite shocking, and it's not nothing unusual that we don't see from the Dawah Bros on the online community and Muslims in general themselves. They're going to try to stick together as best as they can. They're going to try to cover each other's sins, which is just crazy. You're going to cover your brother's sin. What God does that? We are commended in Jesus to rebuke our brothers, to hold them to a certain standard. Don't cover his sins. Don't facilitate a hostile environment. That's exactly what the Muslims do. That's exactly what the Muslims do. They don't hold each other accountable. And then they wonder why they all get up and say, well, we suck. Show them doing it. That's why y'all don't have no camaraderie. That's why you don't have no unity. Instead of calling your brother out and making him stand on and be a moral person, you let him continue to be evil and hostile. So of course he's not going to have any loyalty to you. Why should he? Now, this next clip is very, very disturbing. This is how serious some people in that community feels about Aya and what they literally wants to do to her.
Murder, 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 murder. All I wanna see is murder. All day, all fucking days, murder, 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 murder. All I wanna see is murder. All I wanna see is fucking murder.
As a Christian, my message to Aya, if you really want equality, if you really want respect as a woman, if you really want to be yourself and not get feared because you got too much makeup on, or because you pluck your eyelashes being cursed by Allah, or pluck your eyebrows, and if you really want to do that, you can come to Christianity, where you can be an individual and still serve God. You can be yourself and still serve the God that you love. And that God that you love will not judge you by how you look on your appearance. He will judge your heart posture. And I just feel like you are on your way out. And if you're on your way out, you might as well come to the better side. There's a place for you. There's a place for all ex-Muslims. You have a home in Christ. I sincerely ask you to pray to the one true God, to just say God. Don't say Allah. Don't give that God a name. Just ask God truly in your heart to reveal himself to you and see what answers he give you.